Alright guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you my recommended build for the Krogan Vanguard. Right, let's start off with Biotic Charge. At rank 4 I put points into 30% extra damage, so that way you hit harder when you hit an enemy, you deal more damage to them. In rank 2 I put melee synergy because I play my Krogan heavily based around doing heavy melee attacks, so if I come out of a charge I want to be able to deal extra melee damage, not weapon damage, so that's why I picked it, because normally I charge into a big group of people and use it. And then for rank 6, I think it's pretty obvious why I picked 100% full barrier restore, because when you look at the Krogan's barriers, 1450, that's pretty high, and if you can get those back up to 100% every time you charge, you've pretty much overpowered, you can tank anything. I missed out Carnage because in this build you're never going to need it at all. Right, in barrier, rank 4, I'd pick decreased damage taken by 5% because, over the extra detonation radius, because you're not going to be detonating it, you're going to always keep it on unless you're extremely swarmed and you need to stun enemies, but you're always going to keep it on, so you need to be able to tank more damage, so that's why I picked the decreased damage taken. In rank 5, I picked increased damage enforced by 25% while it's active, so that way the Biotic Charge deals more damage to enemies and that. I could have picked this, increase the shield regeneration by 15%, but I saw it useless because you have Biotic Charge. And then I picked increased protection, which is basically damage reduction again by 10%, so that way you can take less damage. And I didn't pick this because you can buff this up by using gears and equipment stuff. Now the reason I picked this over it as well is because in addition to this, that's an extra 15% damage reduction, so you will be able to tank a lot of damage, believe it or not, a lot of damage. Now in this, the Krogan Battlemaster, spec tree, I picked damage and capacity. I wanted to increase the power and damage of force bonuses of the Biotic Charge a wee bit more as well, so it does a lot more damage, and increase the weight capacity bonus by 20 points, so that way it recharges faster, therefore negating picking the 30% extra recharge speed in this tech tree or spec tree. Now in rank 5 of Krogan Battlemaster, spec tree, I increase power damage and force again by 15% over headshot damage, because you're not really going to be using headshots except for one exception, but it won't make a difference because the unit is very weak, and I'll explain that in detail a wee bit later. And decreasing the weight of shotguns as well by 30% will give you a huge boost on the cooldowns, believe it or not. And the only reason I picked this is because I don't use any other weapons except the shotgun with him. I could have picked this, but you're hardly ever going to use any weapons, so I wouldn't recommend the 10% extra weapon damage. You will use them in gold more than you do in bronze and silver, but still you'll mainly revolve your attacks in melee. Now in Rage, the Krogan Rage, spec tree, in rank 4, I increased the melee damage bonus by 30% and the extra 30% in Rage mode over this to increase 15% health and shields and damage protection by 5%, because if you look at rank 6, you get more health and just the exact same amount of protection, damage protection in Rage mode, so basically you get an extra 10% more than this. And over here, that's why I didn't pick this, because it's exactly the same as this, except it only takes you 2 kills within 30 seconds instead of 3. So that's why I picked it in this order, because you want to pick the damage first, then the health, so that way you've got a good mix of high health, high damage. And here as well, increase melee damage by 75% after an enemy is killed by a heavy melee. And in this recommended build, heavy melee will become your best friend, so this is a really good one to pick, because that way you can heavy melee even harder straight after killing someone. And trust me, you'll be able to take down Guardians, what's the name of them again? Nemesis, Marauders, just most things with shields on in one hit after this build. Right, now for the weapon, I picked the Gralspike Thrower, obviously. With a shotgun blade attachment for extra 25% melee damage. This is very useful because obviously you're going to be heavily revolved down in melee, and this increased damage by 25%. Now I could have picked this for increased accuracy, but this shotgun is pretty accurate itself, so that's why I picked increased damage by 25% instead. And you'll notice the damage bar is like right at the top, maximum damage. Basically it can equal any sniper rifle in damage. Well, actually, sorry about that. If you look really close, you can see there's like probably one line of pixels missing from it, so probably 99% max damage like you can get. Now for the equipment bonuses, in the gear bonus, obviously you want to go for the Berserker pack, which optimises your shotgun damage and melee damage by 3% at level 1. Obviously I haven't unlocked the higher levels, so I wouldn't be able to tell you how much those boost you by, but I highly recommend using this over any other like package. For weapon bonuses, if you're doing any match, doesn't matter which match it is, you want to be using Strength Enhancer, because this will make you very, 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 very like hard to deal with if you're in like a big crowded situation, because you will be able to pick off any enemy in one hit. And it also becomes very useful against an Atlas or a Banshee, or just even Phantoms actually comes really useful in as well, because you'll be able to instantly melee them, no trouble. You'll knock them back, you'll deal tons of damage, you'll be able to back out a bit, biotic charge back in with your shields up, heavy melee, charge back out, and so on and so forth. Now for armour bonuses, it all really depends. You can go between the power amplifier or the cooldown reduction, which I don't have right now to show you, or you can go for the cyclonic modulator, which will boost your shields, which will mean you'll be more durable throughout the match. Then for the ammo bonus, it's really all up to you, but I recommend using the incendiary rounds, because when you're dealing with an enemy, you can, if they're like, from far away, you can just pop one of those off. They'll take damage over time, so you don't have to worry too much about them, especially with the Graal Spike Force high damage, deal extra damage over time as well. Right, and that's basically, my recommended build, weapons and equipment for the Krogan Vanguard. Now I'll show you some gameplay of them. Alright guys, so you just saw some gameplay there, and you'll have noticed at some parts biotic charged the Guardians, and their shields kind of went sideways, they kind of came out of cover, and you'll notice I aimed at their heads. But if you also noticed, you might have not noticed, but if you did, well done, because I charged the weapon for a split second before I let the shot go off to deal the extra damage, because Graal Spike Thrower is a charged weapon. You can charge shots, and it's got 3 levels. It's got the uncharged, medium charged, and extremely charged, as I call it. And extremely charged, it will deal a lot of damage, but the medium charge will be able to take out any Guardian in one hit. And you'll have noticed this as well when I've biotic charged, shields went back, shot them in the head, as I said. Also, you'll notice in other parts when I was on cooldowns and I couldn't biotic charge them, I shot through their eye holes. I aimed, charged it for a couple of seconds, and shot straight through and killed them in one hit. This is also a very, very recommended way of taking them down, but it's very hard, much harder than biotic charging them. It's also not a guarantee, but it will work if you're good at aiming. Now you'll have noticed when I took on Phantoms, I charged at them, hit them with a heavy melee, and then stepped back. Or another way around, I've heavy melee'd them, charged at them, then stepped back. This deals damage to them and knocks them back for a couple of seconds, and when they're knocked back, you can shoot at them as you're walking away, because you don't want to stay close to them, because the longer you stay close to them, the more chance they have of grabbing you and instantly killing you, which is a bad thing obviously. But I wouldn't recommend doing this as much in gold unless there's only 1 or 2 banshees near you. But in gold they tend to swarm you in 3 or 4, or groups of 3 or 4 banshees, not banshees, phantoms at a time. And also you'll have noticed when I took on that Atlas, I kind of had the same tactic of charging in, hitting it with a melee, shooting a couple times, and also walking and shooting away at the same time. Walking and shooting away is useful because you're dealing damage as you're retreating away from its grab range, and then once you get far back enough, you charge in again, heavy melee, and repeat. So basically that's a few tactics there for you to use with your own Krogan Vanguard, and get a lot of kills too. Now hopefully you learned quite a lot from this. I mean, it's not going to guarantee you victory unless you practice it, or if you have a different playstyle, but hopefully it helped you. That was my recommended build and tactics guide for the Krogan Vanguard. Hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you want. I mean, you don't have to, but it kind of helps the channel out. Thanks for watching. Bye.